Welcome to The Rain Archives, a series in which we'll try to explore possible answers to Rainworld's unanswered questions. Today's topic will be on slag reset keys. The concept of these slag reset keys is only mentioned in the Hunter's campaign. Hunter, sent by no significant harassment, delivers a green neuron fly with 16 of these slag reset keys. But what are these keys? First, let's talk about slag. When reading the bright purple shoreline pearl, Lux Limit explains that the microbes which iterators delegate their processing to produce slag as a side effect. Water is then in turn used to break that slag down, and if this is not done, their processes will cease, and they will die. When Five Pebbles starves Moon of her water, this is presumably exactly what happens. With no way to break, she dies due to a buildup from this slag, causing her structural integrity to fall, then for her to slowly fall apart, and eventually collapse completely. Okay, but what are these reset keys then? Going off the name, we can infer that they are keys that reset slag. If you bring the green neuron containing these keys to Five Pebbles, he will remark that he has seen several before, but one or two will still be useful. This has some interesting implications, mainly that these keys are only useful if you haven't seen them before, duplicates being useless, almost like our real-world media keys. This, by itself, is pretty weird, but how are these keys also able to break down slag without the use of water? I think that there are two possibilities. First, these keys could be quite literally keys, some sort of password. The ancients could have built into the iterators a system that could release slag without breaking it down, a sort of emergency release. In which case, you could see why the ancients would want to put a password on it. They wouldn't want an iterator to randomly release what is presumably tons of molten hot slag all over everything. This would also explain Pebble's remark over some being useless. All iterators could share the same set of keys, so that they could be shared between them, and have a single use on each iterator. Or, alternatively, each key could also release slag from a different part of their can, making repeat ones useless because they already have access to the system in that part. If this is the case, the ancients may have missed one small detail. The iterators are quite literally giant brute force machines designed to brute force a solution to the great problem. They could just as easily apply this to the slag reset passwords, which could be what NSH did. He could have paused his task, generated some keys, and then simply sent them off to Moon. Alternatively, there's also a second option for what these keys could be. We know that iterators have at least some degree of control over their structures. Five Pebbles ejects an entire memory conflux room into garbage wastes. As such, if the ancients didn't build this emergency release system, these reset keys could be instead sets of DIY instructions that they could have come up with to redirect slag from their superstructure, such as routing slag into steam exhaust pipes, things like that. This would also explain why duplicates are useless. They already know these sets of instructions, how to release slag in this way, and each individual key could be different ways to get rid of slag from different areas. In either case, when Hunter delivers these reset keys to Moon, what likely happens is that all the slag she built up from her collapse is then released, allowing her to reboot. Now, there's one more elephant in the room. When delivering this neuron to Moon, it splits into 5 normal neurons. I don't actually think this has anything to do with the reset keys themselves, but rather the green neuron was more of an all-around care package, containing slag keys and some neurons. The Pearl implies that NSH doesn't actually know Moon's state, so it's likely he played it as safe as possible and just put in as much as possible. So, that's the mystery of slag reset keys theoretically solved. let me know in the comments what you think about these keys, and any other mysteries you may want to be explored. Bye-bye!